nation's biggest talk shows are all heard right here. Brian Kilmeade, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, Dave Ramsey. We're Talk Radio 96.7.
Hey, Ronnie O, this is your favorite little brother, Glenn O. You know, you told a lot of stories about all the things that we did when we were kids and all the places you took me and the interesting things we saw, but actually I wouldn't know since I was forced to ride in the trunk. So now you know the real story of Ronnie O.
Wow, what a great story that is. Hi, everybody. It is 7:07. This is a special edition of the Ozone on Talk Radio 96.7 WLKF, brought to you by Foshi Jewelers and Allied Scrap. Special edition because tonight, first of all, my name is Bob. I'm representing the management team here at All Communications, and we are thrilled. Can I say Hall of Famer? Is that...
Not until next Tuesday.
Not until next Tuesday? So is it presumptive Hall of Famer?
Presumptive.
Presumptive Hall of Famer.
Supreme Court has ruled on it. I believe it's safe now. You can call him that.
So tonight, Ronnie O and Coach Joe, a special 2-hour edition of the Ozone as we welcome, celebrate, and congratulate Ron O'Connor for being inducted next week into the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame.
That is amazing. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
We are proud, we're excited, and we've already eaten cake, so we're pretty jacked up.
Are you telling me his last name's not Ocean?
It's going to be a really special night, Ronnie. We've got a lot of people from the station. A lot of our old friends will be either calling in or giving us a recording or stopping by, and it's going to just be a parade of people, and they're all very excited that you're going into the Hall of Fame, and they're happy and excited for you, Ronnie. And I had to tell them, him going into the Hall of Fame does not mean he's retiring. Now, they were still excited, maybe not quite as happy, but we're all really proud of you and proud of the work you've done on the show and actually through the decades in communication, especially here in Polk County. And it's certainly a well-deserved honor. And we've got a lot of people here, including Bob, who thanks so much for not only being here, Bob, but also giving us that extra hour tonight.
Would not have missed it.
Yeah. And also like to introduce Nancy Katerius to our audience. Nancy, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Now, you guys go way back, right?
Way back. I would say at least 30 years, long before he was Ronnie Ocean. He was always just Ron to me. And I'm just thrilled to be here because he's been a close friend for our family for so many years. And he's about as good as they get. You can't get anybody who's better to the core than Ron O'Connor. He was good friends with my late husband, and he was so good to him in his last years, and he's good to everybody. I've known him in so many different arenas through the years, whether it be a rabid gator, not avid, a rabid gator, and just so many different arenas I've known him in, and he excels in all of them. He's just the greatest guy I know, and I'm just so happy that he's been inducted into the Polk County Hall of Fame because this man just lives sports, and he's so deserving of that.
Well, we could not have had this collection of talent here without the auspices of the Eric Clark Foundation, who flew them all in on his Learjet, his fleet of Learjets.
You have to have a Learjet first, Ronnie.
Yeah, we have not replaced Eric. He's going to be a big part of the show tonight, too. Yeah. But currently helping us out behind the board for the first hour from Polk County Live, Len Erickson. Len, I really appreciate you joining us tonight because I know the brutal schedule you work and you have to be up super early tomorrow. Being here at night, that's a really big deal. Thank you.
I wouldn't miss it, Ronnie. We've had interactions ever since I first started hosting this program back in 2012, and he had already been there for years by then. Yeah, absolutely, and I wouldn't miss this either. I'm very, very, very happy, and congratulations, Mr. Ronnie Ocean / O'Connor, or whatever your actual name is.
Well, we had to
What's going to be on the plaque, though? What name is going to be on the plaque?
We had to go to the Broadcasting Hall of Fame to get Len's microphone. They let us use it for tonight. And we've got another big star in here from WPCV. Nick, welcome aboard.
You know what? You asked me downstairs for cake, and I'm wondering, cake? Okay, cool. And I come upstairs and see all of these people. I'm wondering, what is going on? And then finding out that you're going to be inducted into the Polk County Hall of Fame for sports and your knowledge of sports. You know what? Every time I see you, you ask me that you want to get my autograph. Can I have your autograph, Ronnie?
Yes. Exactly.
But thank you for asking me.
Oh, we're glad you came. Now we know you only came for the cake.
Exactly.
We lured him with cake.
It's good cake.
It is good cake.
It is. And thank you, Coach Joe and Dr. Michaeline. They provided the cake, and they have just gone overboard.
Well, we were shooting for overboard. I don't know, but I think you deserve all these accolades. And going into the Polk County Hall of Fame is a big deal. That's why there's so many people here joining us tonight. I was so moved by the support of the station for doing this, giving us an extra hour of airtime, because as you correctly pointed out, we don't exactly rake in the money for the show. Although, Bob, I think we have a small and disturbed but loyal audience, right?
Wait a minute. I sell that show for him.
That's right.
Yeah.
If it weren't for Nancy,
Yeah.
Nancy gave us a special ozone package.
It's so special. It's unbelievable.
And it's true, Nancy. There is no show without the work that you do, and you deserve a lot of the thanks. So,
Well-
682-1430 if you want to blame Nancy for us.
Yeah, and Allied Scrap and Foshi's Jewelers stepped up, and I tell you what, they have been great sponsors. And of course, Ale House on the South Side giving us that $30 off coupon that you go out there. A sports quiz winner gets to go out there, eat and drink what they want, take $30 off their tab. That's strong.
That's big.
Even though it's your night, Ronnie, we're still going to do that later in the show, but not as late as we normally do it. So stay tuned. We might just pull it out a little bit earlier than we normally do. And speaking to Dave Nickel, the general manager at the Lakeland Ale House South End, 5650 South Florida Avenue, and he was wondering, and I wasn't even sure, Ronnie. I just know that in the 11 years I've been with the show, that we've always had an Ale House sports quiz. And the Ale House at 5650 South Florida Avenue has only existed for about 20 years.
It goes
It's
back
been there the whole
almost to the
time.
beginning of the show. They were so gracious and have continued to be gracious and give that away for us every week.
Yeah, and it's very popular. It's a
Oh,
big
yeah.
deal. People look forward to it. I get a lot of feedback from people who discover the show and learn about the show through that, and they really love the Ale House, and they're so kind to us when we're there.
Exactly.
That's the one thing. They really treat us like royalty, and it's just been. And they would treat you like royalty too, Len. I gave you a little bit of grief on Tuesday
Well,
about putting you on a list, but no, they would love to hear from you at Ale House over there.
well, I said, if I see the certificate laying around, it might disappear.
They're not open for breakfast, so
No,
Lynn
they're
can't
not.
get out there.
Yeah, that's my problem.
So, Nick, how long have you known Ronnie?
I've known Ronnie since I've been here, going on 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
10 years, and I'm not too big of a sports guy. I mean, I love watching sports, but as far as statistics and everything like that goes, you're so well involved in it. How did you start just like following sports and just really getting into the deep dive of it?
I can remember the very first sporting event I went to. I was about 5 years old. My uncle played football for Hillsborough High School. Okay. And I can remember going to the game. They played Plant every year on Thanksgiving. And we went to Old Phillips Field over in Tampa. And I can remember yelling, "Get off my Uncle Frankie!" There was a big pile. And the first sporting event I can remember watching on television was the 1958 sudden death game between the Colts and the Giants. Ooh. And I loved Johnny Unitas ever since. And
That's football, Nick.
oh, what a cruel man.
Even I know that.
He says he doesn't follow sports. So.
Well, Nancy started here when she was 8 years old.
I probably so, because this August I will be celebrating 42 years here.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yep.
Wow.
Love it.
Well, I don't know what we'd do without you, Nancy.
That's
guidance
absolutely terrific. Yeah, Nancy, thank you so much. I think one of the things we try to do, Nancy and Nick and Bob, is not get too much into the weeds with stats and stuff. We bring people who know that stuff and follow it and can give us that kind of expertise, obviously from time to time. But what I've always loved about the show, Ronnie, is the fact that it's about the stories and about the people in sports. And I think that's one of the big reasons that it's so important that you go into the Hall of Fame. Not as a player or a coach, but as somebody who's done so much for the community in bringing the sports and the stories and the memories That's what we try to draw out of people, or their memories. And it's we talk, and Ronnie and I have known each other for decades, and this is when I came on, it's just the way we always do. Whenever Ronnie and I were together, we just sit around and bam, bam, remember this, remember that. and I think it triggers memories, and we encourage people to call and have a conversation about the things that they love about sports. And we try to build that love and get people to tap into it. And I think it's been really great. I just know that I love coming here every Thursday night.
Well, I think we've done a good job being in a small market. And, it used to be before we had the FM transmitter.
Right.
The station at night, barely got out of the parking lot, did it, Nance? And we've gotten some big-name guests on here. I mean, we've had John Wooden, Roger Staubach, 6 Heisman Trophy winners. And, I hated when we lost our good friend, current Hall of Famer, Ken Riley.
Yeah.
Ken Riley used to have an event where he brought in some of the great NFL names of all time. Archie Griffin, 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. And, who are some of the guys we got out of that, Joe?
Oh, yeah, we got Hall of Famers like Larry Little and Dwight Stevenson out of that. We also got some great players. We got Sugar Bear Hamilton out of that. They used to have the event at Cleveland Heights when Ken Riley was still alive. They had the silent auction, and you had the golf tournament, and all of these former NFL players would show up to it. And Ronnie and I would go, and we'd make all these connections, and they're wonderful, and they love talking about it, and they'd be happy to come on the show. I think Elvin Bethea, we got him from there too, right? And he's actually stayed in touch with us. A lot of these guys have, and it's remarkable that they're willing to come on and talk, and not just talk about what the game or whatever, but they talk about what it was like, and that gives something that fans always. I know it, as a fan, that's what I always want to know is what was it like. I want to see it through their eyes, and they really kind of give that to us. And Ronnie's really good at bringing it out, and I just sort of follow his lead, and the way he can draw stories out of these guys is remarkable.
One of the most colorful people we ever had was Irk Russell. He was the defensive coordinator for the University of Georgia when they had their Junkyard Dogs defense back in the 80s. And this guy, if you've never heard of him, he was bald-headed. He shaved his head, and he would go up and headbutt guys with their helmet on, and he'd be bleeding down there and just yelling in their face, with blood running down his nose. And he started the program at Georgia Southern. And he told a story about, he said, this college hired a coach, and they said, Coach, you know what? We're behind you a winter tie.
It is. There's so much passion out there. And, a lot of our callers and a lot of the people we'll talk to tonight, they bring that passion to it too. But I think what's kind of neat is we never try to, get rid of anybody or do those hot takes that some shows love to do and, bring that sort of campaign. We just want to hear from people and hear what they have to say and give them a chance to talk about it and give historical perspective of what's going on in
Having
sports.
memories are probably the best thing to have, especially when you lived it. You were there, and you took it all in, and you just still have it in the back of your mind. And when you have a show like this, people can bring it to the forefront of their mind and have a conversation about it.
And that's what we try to do.
Yeah, it really works out good. And Ronnie has so much history and knowledge. I mean, he
what happens when you're old.
Yeah, well, he remembers all the great venues. What the boxing at Old Madison Square Garden, or original Madison Square
Coliseum
Garden,
in Rome, all the great,
all
the great ones.
Yeah, the Boston Garden, the Garden of Eden. I mean, he's been to all of them. Right? Oh, that's it. It's absolutely wonderful.
Can you guys give us a hint of since we have this extra special long show tonight about what's come up for the rest of it? Because before we go to break, we'd like to know.
I do believe one of our special guests has arrived and is waiting in the wings. We've got at least 2 more special guests in studio, plus a number of people we're going to be calling, people that you remember over the years with the show, and they're going to join us, and also. You heard the recording from your brother. We've got a few more of those.
So lots more to come.
682-1430 if you want to talk about Ronnie or talk to him or tell him what you really think.
Congratulations,
because
Ronnie.
we're just
Thank
getting
you
started.
Bob, I appreciate it.
Bob, thank you. Nancy, thank you so much.
You, Nick.
We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We got a lot more coming up here in the Ozone. Ronnie O, Coach Joe, and all the friends. Talk Radio 96.7 WLKF.
said that like a music guy. WLKF.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it so much.
So good to see you.
Nance,
Not miss it, you know that. Love you.
appreciate it. Love you too.